What's up, guys? It's John at National Sports Entertainment, and I wanted to go into basically what I've been going into, so it's not going to be earth shattering. Although, if you've watched my last month, it's been all over the place just because we are in a very interesting spot. Because, and again, this isn't to, well, in one case, I will be directly throwing shade where it's due, but this isn't to undermine anybody else who had this pick or anybody else that jumped on it. But we're the one, I think we're literally the only channel who can say beginning of the year we had Niners winning the Super Bowl and we liked the Ravens, right? So happy with that. It's aged very well. It's given people hedge potential if anyone took that future at plus 1800, whatever the case may be. Now, I am a fan of the game of chess, the sport of chess, and what they have us here doing, in my opinion, is playing chess. So I know a lot of people have, now it's so obvious. It's Niners Ravens. It was not obvious a long time ago when we thought it was definitely going to happen, at least on the Niners end. And again, I just went over a video, my last video, explaining why I thought the Chiefs Niners made the most sense if you throw in the logo theory, if you throw in other things. Now here's what the NFL is doing to us. It's absolutely ridiculous. It shows we are getting to them, and you'll see we got 49ers Ravens both favorites to win and potentially face in Super Bowl. Now, it's very interesting is they are letting us know that, and by the way, this notion's untrue. The fans brought it up. Then McAfee had to try and play damage control. Then when that didn't work, Arian Foster came out and tried to play more damage control. But if they're making it act like he said it and then everybody jumped on it, my point being, they're doing now what they hadn't been doing the couple days prior to my last video. And what they're doing is they're making cases for other teams, which has me very, very skeptical of the Niners Chiefs. Again, this is a very interesting one. The only absolute that I can say is Niners are winning the Super Bowl. And again, it's just one they keep changing. So they're going into the theory that the Super Bowl is scripted, and they're going into how the colors matched up with the teams, and they've been going into this a lot. So, of course, my line of thinking is the more they cover this, the more people believe in it. Apparently, more money's flocking into these two teams, which could be the case. We don't know. They could lie about Vegas action. And there's no way they're going to actually give us that. So then you scroll down and you can see how ridiculous of an apparent liability this Niners-Ravens matchups would be to Vegas. Which, again, is great for me and anybody else who in the preseason called this. But it does create such a quandary now. So you can see that the different books are talking about how the money has thrown things off. Now, this book, or this article is interesting, but there's a much more interesting one. I was waiting for the Taylor Swift rumors to start coming out, these articles, because now, and it just makes me wonder if what they're trying to do is make a case, and I brought this up in a couple videos. This is the issue with these channels that copy us. And by the way, I am a big believer in karma, in vibes, in the gambling gods, as you guys know. Once again, brought to my attention. I mean, gosh, this is like every video, but this one was just flagrantly obvious. Someone basically said, "Yep, Jakey the nutjob copied your videos again," and it's so coincidental because you put your video out about why it's going to be the Niners Chiefs, why they make the most sense of the teams left with all the information that we had. We even brought up the possibility of Swift, Kelsey running his AFC Championship ring over to Taylor Swift. Sure enough, Jake the Nutjob copied us word for word, essentially. So, honestly, the fact that such an unstable mental case believes it's going to be Niners Chiefs and copied us to boot, and again, that was just one of my assessments, makes me wonder if the gambling gods have something in store. Now you can see how Lewis is talking about how he believes they got screwed over. They're going into the Beyonce Blackout Bowl. They're going into all the different times in history. But what's interesting, and this is what I brought up, I did a poll on this, and I asked people, I said, would Taylor Swift and the Chiefs, with the season they've had, be more obvious than the Ravens? You eliminate the logo, And this narrative, in my opinion, seems to be way more enticing. So it does make me wonder if they're going to try and pull a fast one. Chiefs money line looking really weird. Now it could be because the whole world's on the Ravens. I genuinely don't know, but it does make me wonder. Now they're pushing this, so of course, and anyone that's looking into this is going to read this article and say, yeah, you know what? It does seem pretty ridiculous. Swift joins the Chiefs. They do have this ridiculous year. Even the part about the script will write out Mahomes kind of happened with Kelsey and Swift. All these different things. And they're bringing up how that would be a ridiculous matchup. Then they go into the double agent theory where Swift might be there to screw them over. And then you can see foretells the teams in the games. This is back to the logo. The refs are going to rig it for the Chiefs. I brought this up multiple times. I said the Chiefs are getting a ref who is very friendly for them. So I thought maybe they would just have him do that, and then the fans would blame the refs. But now they're actually bringing it up as a theory. And you can see what they're doing. They're just creating this complete paradox. Not even a paradox, it's just this complete rabbit hole. And these are all the main theories. Where are they getting these theories from? Apparently it's just a fringe group of us. It seems like they're really kind of like Jake the Asshole stalking our channel and stalking other channels, because that's where you're seeing all this information, and on Twitter as well. The script is already written theory. That's not really a theory. That's just a hypothesis, and I believe it is. But here you can see that, again, they go into the Ravens-Niners, and they kind of just anchor it in with all these other theories, which kind of takes away from it itself, right? Because now no matter what happens, they're going to run with the opposite theory, right? The only one that's not that strong is the Harbaugh and the number 34. I don't think that one's too strong as far as the Lions. I think they're talking about the Niners here, but you see they're talking about Harbaugh coach Ravens to remove, and leaves. And you can see they're mocking this, and I don't blame them for mocking Gematria, because Gematria ought to be mocked. Again, I respect a lot of people that post Gematria on the page. I just think using it to say, oh, it's a foregone conclusion, it's going to be this team, never works. So anyway, my point with this whole thing being, and again, as I said multiple times, I always put out our exact unit amounts, our covers, our over-unders. Actually, there's an over-under coming up this weekend that is better than all the games, I think. Just makes much more sense. But after seeing this, again, it makes me have to reassess. It makes me have to wonder, are they putting Taylor Swift in here and now trying to run with the, oh, it's scripted for Taylor Swift narrative to get people believing that if the Chiefs win, it's scripted? Because I think more people would buy a logo being a coincidence versus you get a megastar in there and they just happen to have a storybook year, go to the Super Bowl, and Swift is the center of attention, and it's either going to be Swift versus Eminem or Mahomes versus Mr. Irrelevant. So they both seem ridiculously scripted. Whereas the Ravens-Niners they've been the best teams this year. In a real league, they would probably be representing the Super Bowl. And it seems like that's the argument that they're trying to make in this article and in other articles. Again, they're talking about Swift more. So it really makes me wonder. It makes me wonder. They could, of course, pull out the Lions-Ravens, because I brought it up multiple times. If you notice, the Lions aren't even in here. Lions-Ravens would be the only one that squashes every kind of script. Because you can't say the logo then. You can't say it was scripted for the Chiefs. You can't say it was Taylor Swift. You can't really say anything. I mean, it's the weakest story of them all. Will they give us a weak story for the Super Bowl? Maybe, so they can salvage the little bit of credibility they have left. But I'm not sure if they're going to do that. And speaking of salvaging credibility, that's the reason I am going to wait until probably tomorrow to get, again, but that's, again, I like to play chess. And there's a reason that for a while now I've been saying I'm not too sure. I genuinely have not been too sure, and I have not wanted to, as you know, whenever I do my official picks, I give us our unit amounts, and that's that. There's times we've done audibles before, there's times I've liked teams. I mean, goodness gracious. Again, our preseason pick was Niners-Ravens. Mid-season, changed it to, not even changed it, just opened our minds to Niners-Chiefs. And then ever since then, it's really been Niners-Ravens with the possibility of Chiefs. until we saw the logo, and that completely threw things for a loop. But knowing there were going to be a lot of fraudulent, unoriginal hacks that copied us, I also didn't want to just come out, 3, 4 days ago and say this is my pick, because I figured that's exactly what was going to happen, and that is what happened. So now we can see that I believe Jakey and others probably saw the video copy. Actually, I know they did because again, they used exactly what we said. It was after our video, and it was brought to my attention by other people who, again, they're telling me their comments got deleted after they brought it up to his attention because that's the stuff that this scoundrel does. But at the end of the day, it does make me think about the gambling gods, and I wonder if the gambling gods would allow that to happen. I don't think they would. I think they smite copycats and unoriginal people. So, looking at this game, and again, this is the article I was waiting for, and of course they're going to wait very close until the game. But the question is there enough handle on the Niners and Ravens for them to stick with it? And is there enough people that believe in it's scripted for that reason for them to stick with it? I had a few people tell me more of your fans that are on the fence genuinely believe the logo theory would push it over. But the people that are kind of believing it's scripted already, for them, the Chiefs would push it over. So it really depends on how you're looking at it. It depends on the perspective. You look at the money line for the Chiefs. Another interesting angle would be if the Ravens won, and I'll explain why. Then we are halfway, right, to the logo theory, and they can kind of keep that. It's like a false finish. They can keep that narrative going up until the next game. Where if again we get the Ravens victory, then people will just be, I guess, really eyes on the Niners Lions game. Now, again, of these four teams, the Niners are the one that I really believe in the most. They're the ones I have winning the Super Bowl. I said that from the beginning of the year, so even if schmucks want to copy us there, it's fine. Again, being copied is flattering, but at the same time, when you have people that supposedly should know what they're doing, and they're just stalking our channel and copying everything we do, it's a little weird, to be quite honest. But yeah, you can see they're going all into the conspiracy rabbit hole here. And again, if you look at both conspiracies, Taylor Swift making, a marketing juggernaut, and it's scripted for the Chiefs, versus a subliminal logo theory, which is kind of equivalent to gematria, where you can kind of cram a lot of different teams in here. Now, in this case, you really could only get the Vikings, Chiefs, Vikings, maybe Bills if you want, Ravens, Niners. There's not many combinations you could get. You could have got Bucks, Ravens, but there really wasn't a lot of combinations you can get with this particular logo. And you can argue the last year because it was green, so there's always going to be, if it was the year before, you have, I could think of the Chargers, I could think of the Packers, I could think of a good bit of yellow teams. We got the Steelers. So this year, with it being purple and red, it is a very specific one. But my point being, are they going to roll with the logo theory? And I've been bringing this up for a while. And, I see this right here. The refs are going to rig it for the Chiefs theory. So this means, and then we have another one with the Chiefs. It's Taylor Swift. Where is it? Did I already pass that one? Again, this means that the NFL knows, and then their agencies that put out these articles all know that people understand. They think it's scripted, and there's not one reason why. It wasn't like this logo theory came out of nowhere and everyone said, you know what, it's Chiefs. It's rigged. It's rigged. It's completely scripted. So, in my opinion, I think it leaves a lot open to be answered. And again, going into everything that I went into, mostly the basketball gods, because I do genuinely believe in them. And once a ne'er-do-well, a complete lowlife of a unaccomplished person, copies our pick exactly, it makes me think maybe that pick won't come true just because of a little bit of karma. Not to mention, we've done 3 or 4 videos, and I've had a couple different theories, but in that last one, I kind of let on that that was it. We were not going to be going into this anymore. Of course, if you guys know my channel, you know that's not how it works. We've made picks before and actually played them, like put money on them, only for like me to find a few things out and the next day say we're going to hedge the other, bet the other way, twice the amount on the other team. Because if we're not playing 5D chess here, and I'm talking about the other channels as well as more importantly, with what Vegas is trying to do, then we're just going to be losing. So after reading all this, it does make me really, really wonder if they're going to push the Niners Ravens. And then the people that say, oh, it's scripted for Niners Ravens, they can kind of put them in a bucket and say, okay, yeah, based off the color, you guys think it's scripted. Whereas if the Chiefs do it, there's already people that from last year, people that believed it was rigged for the Chiefs. And again, I wasn't too sure what to do with that because it had not been mentioned in an article up until when this article was written, like yesterday, earlier today, whenever they wrote it. And now they're acknowledging how scripted it would look if we get the Taylor Swift Chiefs, which again is just ridiculous in my opinion, just such a ridiculous story going to the Super Bowl with Mahomes and all this scrutiny on them from last year again. This is from last year. So the NFL could definitely be playing the long game here. And that's what I thought about. Maybe they put this little logo out to throw people off. And I think the logo, I do genuinely believe it was caught. I don't think they put it out so people could catch it. But once enough people got on board with it, they probably had all their stories in place. So, again, you can argue that all the money is going to be on the Ravens and the Niners. And that very well could be the case. I don't think so. Just because of anytime you're getting the Chiefs getting 2-1 odds, there's no way people are fading them. Don't forget, there's a lot of people who still think it's real, so they're not going to pay attention to the logo. And there's a lot of people who really don't even know what's going on with the logo. They'll be, oh yeah, I heard of that, but it's really not something that's on the forefront of my mind. If you asked the average fan who the NFL was rigging games for, I guarantee you, out of 100 of them, just fans who watch the game, they're not on Twitter all the time. Probably 70 of them would say Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, just because, again, of how obvious they have made it for these teams. So, I genuinely believe that the logo theory might not have, at least them trying to squash it, might not have as much credence as we thought before. So, luckily, the game is on Sunday, so we do have all of tomorrow to make up our decision. Tomorrow, and I said this 100 times, I would have official because I don't just play money lines, of course, because we have covers, we have games where you're giving up points, we don't want to get juiced, we get all these different things. So for me, I want to make sure we get all four plays, and like I said, the actual best play by a country mile is an over under. It's on the Chiefs game. You probably know which way it's going if you watch my channel because it's just a very suspicious over under in my opinion. So yeah, like I said, they've done a heck of a job, and most people want to just say, okay, here's what I got, and I'm sticking with it, and they don't want to make any reassessments. They don't want to take the time to look into things deeper. For me, this is definitely worth looking into deeper. And when I see new articles surfacing after I put out a video that basically cover some of the worries that I had in my video, then I'm definitely going to reassess. So I went over Chiefs Niners. I went over it mid-season. I went over why it made a lot of sense, and I still think it makes a lot of sense. You can watch that video, or you can watch Jake the Asshole's video. Basically, it's just a carbon copy of mine. So if you want to hear it in my words or in the copycat's words, it doesn't really matter. But it's basically the same exact video from what I'm being told. So it's been said, and I've gone into it. It's something my mind is very, very open to. Very close to pulling the trigger. I was, like I said, I don't see the reason to until we got all the information we need. So we are technically it's Saturday, so it'll be probably tonight. Technically tonight, later 5-6 o'clock, and I will have our whatever you want to call them. I guess ironclad picks, where obviously I show the exact amount of units we're going to be playing, exact teams I have winning, whether they're covering, if I have a favorite winning, and exactly why, with everything made up. But again, if it was just one small thing that I noticed, then I would say, all right, you know what, it's not that big of a deal. But the fact that they're giving us other conspiracies now, I'm curious what you guys think. Do you guys think this is just to confuse us with the bet? Do you think this is to prepare for the inevitable when it is, Chiefs Niners, or because again, I feel like Chiefs Niners or Ravens Niners is the only thing that makes sense. Chiefs Lions could make some sense, and the only way the Ravens Lions make sense is if you're genuinely trying to just completely throw off the public. But as far as matchups that sell, matchups that they've been building at with teams that they obviously want to get into the Super Bowl, and now all these articles where they're showing us, it's almost like they're trying to show us a more scripted game, a more scripted result than the logo theory. It does have me really, really questioning. So, most people that watch the channel appreciate the fact that I'm just honest and transparent about this kind of stuff. But, if you're like, oh man, I thought, you knew for sure, we never know for sure. In my last video, I went over the same thing. It's the closest I've been. I could say that we're getting closer and closer. The one thing that's never changed, and I just don't see changing, is the Niners winning the whole thing. Something that, again, we've had since the preseason. The only person that I know of that has had a prediction that might stand, that outdates our prediction, is good old Nick Wright on First Things First, which was part of the reason I'm looking deeper into this theory as well, just based off of the way they're covering the games. So, yeah, his is like almost a year in the making. He made it last year. He had the Chiefs winning, and we had the Niners winning this year, which about a half a year. So he's got us beat by a bit if his comes true. But it would be interesting. Nick Wright got one side, and a lot of times on First Things First too, one of the guys will be right, one of the guys will be wrong, and I have noticed how Nick bashes Purdy week after week after week. Brew defends him, and Nick says Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback to ever exist. Not many people are going to argue that, at least the best one playing. But the Chiefs are winning the Super Bowl, and Broussard disagrees with him there. So getting Nick's guy, Mahomes, versus basically Brew's guy, and Brew's guy's Lamar, but his other guy's Purdy because of how hard Nick treats him. That would be an interesting Super Bowl, an interesting talking point. But then again, you see the paradox. You see how obviously scripted that might come off. So I liked it so much more before I saw this. The refs are going to rig it for the Chiefs, the Taylor Swift theory, and more of these theories are talking about the Chiefs than they're talking about the Niners Ravens combination. So, in my opinion, I don't want to sound like a political pundit, but just too close to call at this second. I said before, when I said I can't imagine much more is going to come out, they seem to be locked on this logo theory, and now all of a sudden they're coming out with different theories. So I genuinely believe that there might be another article or two, or a talking head or two, that I see in the next 12 hours that might just give something away. We cannot go based off of Vegas saying that the Rams have, or the Ravens have seen a 21x uptick in their handle, and the Niners have seen a 9x, or whatever they said. It's just something we can't subscribe to because of the fact that the the handles they give us, again, as you can see, they know that we're onto them, right? By putting all these out of nowhere. So we've already won, in an original way. We've come out and with our own theories, with our own mentality, come out and explained why we believe certain matchups are going to happen. But since the NFL's already addressing these things, there's no way they're going to give us an accurate handle because they know, okay, these people think it's rigged. If they think 90% is on one team, they're going to pound the other team. So, this is what I said from the beginning when people told me about Vegas Insider, all these different sites. I went into, you can't trust them. You just can't trust these sites. They give out false handles all the time, and even if they don't do it on purpose, there's no way they actually have the handle. So yeah, let me know what you think. I know you guys for the most part have, but now with this new information, and if you believe in the gambling gods like I do, and you think they're going to smite somebody, for trying to steal somebody else's hard work and natural football prowess, then let me know what you think about that. I know you might think I'm kidding, but the gambling gods have smited me before, and they have come through big time before. Uh, Dude that copies us, what usually happens is he winds up getting all the game because he'll copy the whole Jake here. He'll wind up copying like our entire week schedule and then change one pick and usually get it wrong. And that's what's kind of sent him into a tizzy when I pointed that out along with the screenshot of him admitting he copies our picks. I'd post it again, but you guys have seen it, and if you really want to see it, you can see it the next video. But again, this is stuff that keeps getting brought to my attention, so I don't think I need to bring it to your attention. But I can't lie, I'm a very honest person, I'm very transparent, I believe in the weirdest things, I believe in synchronicities, and I believe that there will be some kind of football karma. So, the fact that, again, a nut job is agreeing with us makes me wonder if I was wrong to begin with. It's kind of like when you're having a debate out on the street and you're like, you know what, I like butter pecan ice cream, I think it's underrated. And then some just crazy looking, unwashed, bewildered guy comes out of the wilderness and he's like, yeah, butter pecan's the best. You have to reassess whether you do like butter pecan because you don't want to be in the same group as a complete nutjob maniac. So it's an interesting one. It really is from all fronts. It's an interesting one from these some of these schmuck YouTube channels who just copy us only to then call us exploits when we're the ones laying the blueprint. And it's incredibly interesting from the perspective of these articles. And again, it's not just our one article. There are many now, and they're talking about not just here. This guy's talking. This is another channel. Did they call a Audible? But it's not just the logo theory anymore. Now we have a bunch of them. And don't even get me started on Reddit. We can go into that, but that's a whole nother rabbit hole. But the fact that these articles are coming up, and you can see that most of them were, as you can see, just the Ravens and Niners here, 5, 6 days ago. It's suddenly changed, and here we have the, in my opinion, a pretty bombshell article by Yahoo Sports, which is very interesting. And this is not the first time it was brought up. It was brought up very, very subtly before, where they said, oh, well, if you wanted a scripted Super Bowl, why wouldn't you just go with Taylor Swift? That's way more of a script. Taylor Swift versus Eminem. So it was almost like they were trying to convince us, Ravens Niners wouldn't be that scripted. Chiefs would be more scripted. So it makes me wonder, was our preseason pick, our original intuition before any game was played, sacrifices make sense for the Ravens, Brock Purdy's story makes sense for the Niners, was that pick correct? I'm starting to believe it was. So, again, it's the fact that we nailed it, and this isn't to be braggadocious, it's just to be honest. The fact that we nailed it from so early in the season is what makes this so tough. If I had gone with Cowboys and Cowboys and Bills or something like that, now we're at this spot, and it's a lot easier for me because I feel like, okay, well, I didn't have much of a read anyway, but we've had such a read on the pulse. If you watched the last video or 2 videos ago I did, where I replay my video from week 5, I mean, goodness gracious, we had the Vikings finishing last in the division. We had the winner of the NFC South finishing 9-8. I mean, we called some pretty over the target games just because of the way they were setting up these whole scripts. We called the Lions winning the division with ease, all that stuff. Going to the NFC Championship. That's back in week 5. And again, it's not to be braggadocious. It's for the people that might be seeing for the first time to understand, which the copying is ridiculous. We always have the receipts. These other people don't. They just act like they came up with it out of nowhere within hours of our video. But the fact that they're bringing up Swift so much, they're bringing up the Chiefs so much, and I would argue not that many people would. I feel like a Ravens win would be, in a weird way, kind of shocking. I don't know why. I just think people just assume at this point it's going to be the Chiefs. They've been on this tear, haven't lost a road game in the playoffs. And again, before this logo theory came out, we have to determine how many people believed that the NFL was scripted. Because if a lot of people did, then a lot of people were looking at the Chiefs, not really the Lions Niners or Niners Ravens. Again, we had them because of storylines. and more so the Niners. The Ravens weren't a storyline as much as some symbolism, and you do see the logo now is more symbolism. But the Chiefs are a different story. They seem like an obviously scripted team. So I'm gonna wait for like one more article. Again, it doesn't change much anyway because all the like I said, this was gonna be a series anyway, and of course it's been pretty back and forth because every day there's a new article or something new brought to my attention. But what I can confirm again, nothing's going to change. We're going to have the exact covers, the exact winners, the exact over-unders. Like I said, probably it'll be my next video for sure. Probably in like 12 hours. I might wait a little longer just to see if there's any more articles that come out trying to sway the public. But yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if you still think Niners Ravens would be too obvious, or with these articles coming out, if they are trying to do some kind of three-card Monty and reverse Uno us here by putting the actual teams in there, because so many people are saying, oh, well, now there's no way that's going to happen, and they're going the other way with it. So, very interesting. I do applaud the shady media for a change because at least they're being original with these articles. They're really creating a mind bend for a lot of people, making it, and that's what wrestling does. They make it where almost anybody seems like they have a shot at making it in. So I just wanted to go into this article specifically. If you didn't know, like I said, go into the schmucks that copy us, and I think it's going to wind up backfiring, and you'll know in my next video why. But yeah, again, as always, let me know what you think. Let me know if you think I'm overthinking it because I tend to do that. It's done very well for us before, where we've had exact outcomes. But then there's times where we just kind of have it. It's like we're serving it out, and we overthink it and double fault. And I feel like that's definitely a possibility with me. So, again, I very much appreciate the game of chess. I try and use the tools from the game of chess in all aspects of my life. And to me, this is just chess here. It's like we have a theory, we're on to something, and then the NFL runs the gambit. And then we decline the gambit, and then they do something, they sacrifice their knight. And it's like, what's going on here? This is just so weird. Like, we feel like we're over the target, and then they come out with something just absurd. So, yeah, it's really going to come down to which is more scripted, which is what I've been trying to get to the bottom of for a while now. Taylor Swift Chiefs rematch versus Mr. Irrelevant versus the GOAT, or we get Eminem versus Taylor Swift would be pretty ridiculous. Or do you think it's going to be the logo theory? Do you think that would just push people over the top, or do you think people might look at that and say, it's a coincidence, come on, and list all the teams that could have theoretically got in the playoffs? Whereas the Chiefs with Taylor Swift, you can't really name, you can't be like, oh yeah, the Georgia could have done that with what's his name, the freaking rap Ti. They could. There's just not many teams that have the marketability, the notoriety, and then the draws, and I include Taylor Swift as a draw. So the Chiefs were a perfect team for this. So yeah, I am wondering if this was just again a last minute swerve, and then they can say, well, the Chiefs didn't get in. You know, there's no way that fans can think it's rigged now because if it was rigged, there was so much money, more money for the Chiefs to get in. And then they can say, and they wouldn't have let Baltimore win because there was so much money on them. So you can kind of see the talking points. And again, that might be me overthinking it. But unlike these other channels, at least I like to think instead of just copy pasting. So yeah, I'm curious what you guys think. And if you think that Chiefs Niners sounds right because of the story, or if you think the NFL doesn't give a damn. They're going to stick with their stubborn logo theory, and maybe I shouldn't give a damn either and stick with my original preseason pick of Niners Ravens. So, I always appreciate you guys. I appreciate you all who let me know, all the ne'er-do-wells in this. I understand it's a cesspool of miscreants and narcissists. Again, these people, they've done way more unspeakable things than just copy me. I wish I could say that's all they did, but particularly Jake the Nutjob over here, the I always call him the poster for the anti-drugs campaign because he really is somebody that if somebody looks at him on that poster, they're going to not want to do those drugs. And it might just sound like I'm going after this dude, but you have to understand, this is an individual that quite considerably older than me and just stalking me. So imagine having somebody way older than you stalking you and then constantly sending you messages and constantly leaving stuff on your page to the point you have to block them. Then they make another account, you block them. Kind of like an ex, only I'd rather have a conversation with my ex than this deranged nutbag. But just some backstory there. There's other backstory videos if you wanted to see them. I didn't want to spend too much time talking about that. But again, it's just so coincidental. We get a video out, and I guess he assumed that it was like our final 100% pick. So he ran with it. Now he's stuck with it while we can reconsider. And like I said, I've been considering since I saw them running with the logo theory and then bringing up Swift in that article a couple days ago. We have to always reconsider. We have to consider until we have all the information we need. It's like playing poker and you get the turn card and you're ready to go all in. And you might not, the river card might make a big difference. You might be able to get a lot more value just by waiting on that river card. So I'm waiting on that river card. Hopefully we get one more article. I actually was watching First Things First because I think they give some information away. When I decided, let me just do a video on this because all these things were brought to my attention anyway, and this article was interesting, I thought. So yeah, as always, let me know what you think, and either way, we're gonna have the covers and the over/unders coming out next. And yeah, we're less than we're less than a day away now, so it's gonna be a very interesting game in my opinion. And oh yeah, and by the way, pick Sinner. I know he's not getting the best odds. There's no way he should be minus 280. And I went into it. It's his first major. There's no way he's going to lose to Medi. They had him beat Djokovic. They're going to have him beat Medi. Get his first. You got to establish the new guys. Sinner, Medi, and Medi's already been established. Alcaraz already been established. And who's the fourth guy? There's another guy in the mix. Maybe it's Holger Rune. Sometimes I don't consider Zverev in that block or Rublev. They're like right on the next tier. But as far as the guys that are really trying to get over, it really is Sinner and Alcaraz. So yeah, I'd go with Sinner. If you want to lay the juice, you can, or take a minus the games. I think he's going to win pretty easily. I think he's given up 5 games. No, I think he's given up 4 games. So I think he wins, but that's up to you guys. But yeah, this article really stuck out to me, and you throw in that the gambling gods and the fact that we had it at the beginning of the year makes me really wonder if we stick with our intuition. Or again, do you think they just go with Mahomes versus the world, which is a good story, but then again, they're trying to convince us that's what they're doing here. Give us a great story. So the whole thing is very, like I said, it's like a Jedi mind trick. And the best I can do is, like I said, we'll have the chart out with our 4 picks because I'm doing all the over-unders and the cover slash money lines, whichever one we wind up going with. Might have some props as well because I have a couple theories about certain players that are just going to do good and bad based off of public action. And another thing is, if I had time to do the second video before after the first, the second game after the first game, I would, but obviously they're going to be running one into another. And the other thing is, since I like the Niners so much anyway, the first game won't affect the second game too much, but it could. There could be a result in the first game that makes us look at the second game and think they might be giving us something different. They might slip up and say something. You never know. So we'll be going live for that video. So, I expect again to see the copycats there as usual. They come over and just basically watch what we say, listen to us. Sometimes they type, which is fun because then we can give them a piece of our mind, and usually they just kind of leave. But I think live is for the Chiefs game is a great time to do it. It's going to be absolutely raucous what they do with this game. And again, at the end of the day, that money line has me just thinking, are they really going to pay plus 180? Unless they're telling the truth. And there's this much money on the Ravens. We'll have to figure that out. So yeah, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you being patient because, like I said, this is not an easy game. It's the people that act like, oh yeah, it's so easy. Again, we had this at the beginning of the year, and I'm telling you, it's not easy. So there's a reason, that it's taken so long. The people that suddenly, even though they didn't have them all year, know who it's going to be. they're probably just throwing out picks. They don't care about looking into it. You know, they copy other channels, they throw them out there, and then if they're right with the other channel, and that's what they hope to be. So, again, sometimes you kind of have to play some 5D chess on YouTube just because of the other channels. I know it sounds kind of counterintuitive, but that's why I never go with official unit picks where I go how many units, who we're going with. I don't post them on my membership until they're absolutely 100%. This is who I am locking, which again I've yet to do because I do have the benefit of having the 1600, beginning of the season, so I could just hedge. It'd probably be the smarter play. But again, I always like to wait until I know 100% for sure. So as compelling as I think my argument was, again, it was compelling enough for others to copy it for the Chiefs Niners back in week 5. I think there's other compelling arguments, and I'm going to have to wait to see. If we get another article or two like this, then they might do the reverse swerve and you notice how all these people are just putting up 70, 80 in the NBA. Now we got three 70s in like the last year or something pretty insane. So they're definitely changing that precedent where like 30 points is the new 40 points is the new 30. But we'll talk about basketball another time. But yeah, if you guys want to, you know, obviously I tried to scroll through the article so you could see what's going on. But if you want to check out some articles, let me know what you think. And either way, let me know what you think. Let me know again if you think I'm overanalyzing a certain part, or if maybe we undersold the stubbornness of the NFL, and they're just gonna run with the logo and use these other scripts, these quote scripts, to explain why the logo isn't rigged. Because if it was rigged, they would do all these other things. So it's very interesting. Like I said, they're doing it on purpose. It's probably going to take some adjusting. I'm talking about next year, because next year it's going to be changed immensely, and a lot of the games are probably going to be different than what we've been expecting. So this year we had an amazing read. By the way, I think we finished up like 40 units in the NFL or something like that. It was just absolutely outstanding. And again, that's why these people copy us. That was actually the tweet or the message that Jakey left us a year ago. Thank you for opening my eyes to this. I didn't realize how rigged it was. I'm making so much money because of you. All these different things, and he's not the only one. He's just, in my opinion, the least desirable one because the man is truly unhinged. I didn't realize how bad it was until he started targeting us a long time ago, and now yeah, he's copying us because he just can't resist. So yeah, uh, I see all the scripts, I see all the theories. I think the NFL is doing it on purpose. But the fact that most of this article is talking about the Chiefs, the fact that it's been brought up by USA Today, oh, you would do Chiefs for a scripted game, just makes me wonder if they're trying to get us off, trying to sell us on the logo being less scripted than the story that they would have drawn up from the beginning of the year. So I'm curious what you guys think about this, and we'll discuss it in greater detail. Like I said, we'll be going live for the game, and we'll also be doing our official. I'll cover each game. You know, Chiefs versus Ravens money line slash spread, and Niners versus Lions spread. That's a 7 point spread, so still not sure if we're going to get the cover there. And then the over under is all that stuff. So take care, guys, and happy earnings.